everybody, this is Megan Patrick, and I wanted to create this video because I have been recycling and trying to implement a really low impact lifestyle. So if you don't know what that means, it just means that I'm trying to reduce the amount of trash in my life just by being as mindful about the things that I'm using and purchasing as possible. So I wanted to tell you some things that I've learned about recycling in the last month. Since I've started doing this low impact lifestyle, and I learned along the way there are a lot of things that I can't recycle. I just thought that because something was plastic or cardboard that it was something that I could take to a local recycling center, and that's not the case. So maybe you have a little more common sense than I do, or maybe you're new to this as well and just thought that you could recycle anything you want. I recently moved from a state where you could recycle your soda cans and bottles for 10 cents, and there was a really high incentive to take those things back. However, I've recently moved to a state where that's not the case. My local grocery stores don't have can and bottle deposits in the front door, so it's not something that's just ingrained in the back of my head anymore. So I need to make an effort to return these items to my local recycling center. So this is something that you can do with a really simple Google search. Just look up some place that's nearby you. Usually they have hours during the week or on the weekend where you can just drive up. There are a lot of huge trash cans that you can start just dropping things into. So when I got there, there were a few big item labels. My son and my dog, ladies and gentlemen, they make all sorts of noise. But these containers, they are plastic, glass, aluminum, cardboard, and that was it. I mean, there was like a bottle center, but I had all of these like little plasticky things that I thought, like, what the heck am I supposed to do with these? Those go in the trash. And that was a really hard thing for me to learn because I thought that you could just bring anything plastic to a recycling center and they'd take care of it. But recycling machines are not very friendly with different types of things and even grocery bags. I thought that you could bring grocery bags to a recycling center, but in the state that I live in, they don't, because the recycling machines are not very forgiving with thin plastic bags. It's low density polyethylene. However, it might be the case that you can in your state. I would just look this up. I don't know much about it still. So if you do, leave it in the comments, and then I've learned something new today. I just wanted to share, I have a list of do's and don'ts, and then I wanted to explain to you a little bit what those little recycling symbols on the bottoms of your plastics mean and what you can do with those. So here are the do's for recycling. The very first thing that I would recommend is taking your organic materials and composting them. It's not hard. I don't have much of a green thumb, but I've been able to do this really easily. Take a plastic container with a lid, and whenever you feel like throwing food scraps away, whether you're cooking or you didn't finish your meal, stick it in this container and then take it outside into a Rubbermaid tote, close the lid, and you're done. Okay, put a couple of holes in there so that you can get some worms or maggots, and just really thin, like, I think I did like 3/16 of an inch drill, just around the top and around the sides, and that's it. That's all you need. Take a shovel, turn it every couple of days, and you're golden. It's really easy and didn't take up as much space or time as I thought. So if you want to reduce your trash, that's the first really easy step that you can take. So you can also repurpose a lot of your fruits and vegetables. Of course, fruits and vegetables contain seeds and pits and roots that can be regrown very easily. So things like avocados, tomatoes, celery, and carrots. That's what I'm doing in my house right now, just because that's what I've been buying the most of. Whatever you don't use before you throw it out, if it's not looking particularly good, there are ways that you can regrow this food into plants so that you can actually have your own source of these fruits and vegetables eventually in your home or your apartment. So I would recommend doing that. I'll share a video in the future on how I do that. But I'm going to move on because I'm rambling. So the next thing is to save batteries, electronics, and light bulbs. Your local recycling center may take them, but this might also be something that you have to go to a different location to drop off. Again, just take a look on a Google search and see what's around you. Plastic bags have to be taken to a local grocery store, so check and see what those are. I take them to the Fresh Time grocery store that's near me. They have a little container right in the front door, and you can just drop your plastic bags in there. But make sure that they are the right types of bags, and I'll explain that later. So take a look at the packaging before you make a purchase. This is going to be the biggest thing that's going to help you with a low impact lifestyle, is just understanding what you're taking home and realizing that this can or cannot be put in the trash. And that's been something that I've been really intentional about. Look and see if there are stores that support companies that use recyclable, compostable materials. It may not be a complete deal breaker on an item. Sometimes you can't get around these kinds of things, but not everything plastic can be recycled. Not everything metal can be easily recycled. So just kind of keep an eye out for those things when you're making a purchase. And the things that you can't throw away, find a purpose for. So for plastics or metals, reuse them for flower pots. Take your clothing items and turn them into a bag or a rug or a blanket or something. There are ways to reuse these things and make them something that you can implement in your life without putting them in a trash can. Now the don'ts. It's really short, really easy. Don't save everything because it's plastic. Hello, I thought that you could, you can't. And don't take your grocery bags to recycling center. Don't put your plastics inside of a garbage bag. That was something that I didn't do, but I saw a lot of, were people who had these huge garbage bags with cans in them, and it's kind of defeating the purpose because these bags have to be taken apart and most of them will be thrown away. So just be mindful of those things. So here's the part where I break down the different types of plastics. We're all familiar with those little triangles with the numbers on the inside. And I'm going to tell you what those are, what types of plastics those are. If you're curious, I like to say that I have a 2-year-old engineering mind and I just ask why or what until I am satisfied. And so I did a little research on what these plastics are, how to identify them, and then maybe it'll become second nature to you when you're going to a store trying to find something. You can go, oh, this is something I can take home. Oh, this is not something that I can recycle, so I'm not going to purchase it. Anyways, plastic types. The first plastic type is going to be number 1. There are 7 different plastic types that will be identified in that little recyclable triangle. The first one is PETE. This is polyethylene terephthalate, and this is a thin, very easily bendable plastic. It's the clear plastic that's your water bottles, your soda bottles, plastic McDonald's cups, like things that you would typically get from takeout. You'll see a little number 1 etched into the bottom if it's something that can be taken to a recycling center. Number 2 Number 2 is HDPE. This is high density polyethylene. And this is a thicker plastic that your milk jugs, soap bottles, they come in, they may or may not be clear, and they're going to be very similar to the feel of the number 1 PETE plastics, but they're going to be a lot more difficult to bend. Some of them might not even be very physically bendable if you have chicken arms like myself. So this is the number 2 plastic. Number 3 is PVC, and that's polyvinyl chloride. It's something that you're probably familiar with. PVC piping is made out of this material. This is a very thick, strong plastic that cleaner jugs and things like engine oil will come in. They're not very common plastics that are used in everyday items, but they are out there, and you might encounter them a couple of times a month. Now, the 4th type is LDPE, similar to the number 2. It's a low density polyethylene, so common sense tells us that this is just a lower amount of polyethylene that's inside of this plastic concentration, so obviously it's going to be thinner. This is actually what grocery bags are made out of. So grocery bags, different types of plastic lining. Check and see if a bag, like a clear bag that your food items or toy items come in, has the number 4 on the packaging. This might be something that you can take to a local grocery store. It's not something that can be taken to a recycling center. It might also say check local stores. This is LDPE plastic. Number 5 is PP polypropylene. So the polypropylene is a thick white plastic. Things like yogurt containers, juice bottles, straws. This is a lot of food container type things. If you've ever gotten like a big yogurt container, the little ones, it's that white plastic that the food's contained in. We're very familiar with this. Food jugs, butter, things like that typically tend to have the number 5 plastic. Number 6 is PS, polystyrene. This is something along the lines of like a clear CD case, takeout containers, kids' toys. Again, it's not found very often in everyday uses, but you might find them with like a Rubbermaid brand clear tote or something along the lines of that. Just keep an eye out for those. They can be recycled. And number 7 is just the other category. So the other category is like electric housing boxes, auto parts, safety glasses, light lenses. These are things that you would hope that you can recycle, that you might not be able to take directly to a recycling center. You could, but please keep these items because there is a place for them. To sum it up, there are plenty of things that can be recycled at recycling centers, but just be mindful about what they are. Not every plastic bag, plastic tag, plastic box, plastic container can be taken to a recycling center. So this is where a lot of your garbage is going to come into play. Some of that really thin stuff that like food wrappers come in, fruit snacks, things like that, that you would kind of hope would be something that you can recycle that you can't. So again, check your state laws, do a Google search, find out what you can. A lot of this is going to be research on your own. I'm also going to add links in the comments for some very helpful do's and don'ts of recycling that I found online, and also some things on the plastics that I talked about. Just kind of visualize and better understand some of the things that you can and can't recycle. It's also going to break down those 7 types of plastics in more detail. Don't go to a center like I did thinking that you can recycle everything, because you can't. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If you're a newbie like me, drop your name in the comments if you're brave enough. I'd love to connect with you if it's something that you're interested in doing. I'd also still love to connect with you. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. I've got new content coming out every week. You never know what it's gonna be because I've got like a random list of things. I'll think of something at like 11 o'clock at night laying in bed and I'm like, oh my gosh, this needs to go on YouTube. So I don't know if you care or not, but if you are, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.